Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are good and doing well at home. According to my previous lesson, if we recap our previous lesson, we start with the new chapter, that is weather and climate. And after covering the definition of weather and climate, the differentiation between the weather and climate, we move towards the layers of atmosphere. We have 4 layers of atmosphere, and then after the layers, we studied about the composition of atmosphere and the elements of weather. Our today's content of the lesson is elements of weather, how air is heated, radiation, conduction and convection, wind, land breeze and sea breeze, rainfall and cyclones formation. The objectives of today's lesson are to discuss and determine how temperature and air pressure affect the patterns of weather, the relationship between the temperature and air pressure, the differentiation between the land and sea breezes, how air is heated, the three types of rainfall, the characteristics of three types of rainfall, and the most important one, how to calculate the daily temperature range, average daily temperature, and the average monthly temperature. And the last one is how cyclone is formed. Okay, let's recall the previous one, the elements of weather. The elements of weather are temperature, air pressure, wind, rainfall, humidity, sunshine, and cloud cover. But in this lesson, we only discuss about the temperature, air pressure, and wind direction and rainfall. Okay, let's start with the temperature. That how the temperature affects the weather and why the temperature is important to record. It affects what we feel, what we wear, what we can grow, and it also affects other weather conditions. For example, if we have high temperature, we have maximum evapotranspiration, and in return we have the maximum rainfall. Okay, to measure the temperature, we use thermometer, and the temperature is measured in the degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. Then wind, what is wind? Wind is the movement of air from an area of high pressure to the area of low pressure. And what is the unit of wind? That is the in millibars. Now the second one is how to find out the wind velocity. That what is wind velocity? Wind velocity is basically the wind speed and wind direction. To measure the wind speed, the instrument which we used is the anemometer, and we placed that anemometer in different meteorological department to calculate the speed of the wind in 24 hours and what is the actual speed of wind in different hours. Then we use the wind vane. Wind vane shows the direction of wind, that wind from north to moves from north to south, from north to east, from west to south, from southeast to southwest, from northeast to northwest. Then rainfall. We can measure the rainfall through rain gauge, and rain gauge shows the amount of rainfall which a certain area absorbs. Rainfall is we can The rainfall is basically formed through two processes, that is the evaporation and condensation. We have three types of rainfall: relief rainfall, convectional rainfall, and cyclonic rainfall. Air pressure. What is air pressure? That is the force exerted by the weight of the air. And what is the unit of the force or the pressure is 101325 millibars. Okay, and then we can measure the air pressure through barometer. Let's start with the rain. Why does it rain? Why we have the formation of water vapors that changes into clouds, and first of all we have the condensation, that water droplets changes into water vapors, and water vapors strikes with the hot air and then it came back to the earth's surface. So we have the condensation, evaporation, and thickness of clouds. Okay, first type of the rainfall, that is the convectional rainfall. What is convectional rainfall? When the cool air rises upwards, it strikes with the when the hot air rises upwards, it strikes with the cool air and it forms the convectional rainfall. Basically, this rainfall is directly connected to the fronts, warm air front and the cool air front. Then we have the relief rainfall, the rainfall which takes place on the mountains, that our wind start moving from the westwards and then it moves towards the eastwards. The clouds start moving towards the leeward side. The side where we have the rainfall, that is known as the leeward side, and the side which through where we don't have any water vapors and the clouds are free from the water vapors, we called it the windward side. Okay, the most important one is the how to calculate daily range, average and mean monthly temperature. We have formula for daily range temperature. We have maximum daily temperature, minimum daily temperature. We subtract from maximum from minimum, and in return we have the daily range temperature. Then how air is heated and get cool. We have three processes: radiation, conduction and convection. Okay, how to find out the average temperature? We can find out the average temperature by uh, adding the maximum plus minimum divided by 2. So we have the average temperature. Mean monthly temperature, the total average temperature of the month and the number of the days in the month divided, and that is equal to the mean monthly temperature. And then we have the cyclones. What are the cyclones and how many types of cyclones we have? Basically, cyclones are the low area pressure which spiral inwards and rotates clockwise. And in different all over the world, we called it in the different words. We have hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons, and tropical cyclones. In Pakistan, we have the tropical cyclones in the Arabian Sea, and Karachi area, like we have the first cyclone in 1948, and then the second one in the 2nd May 1999, and it strikes with the coast of Karachi and it causes a very heavy destruction. 80,000 houses were destroyed, 60,000 were damaged, and we have 700 fishing boats were destroyed by that cyclone, and the 50% of all crops are also damaged by the tropical cyclone in 1999, which strikes with the coastal area of Pakistan. The center of the cyclone is known as eye, which have very high pressure, and the wind starts swirling from the eye towards the outwards and spiraling bursts. Okay, then the hot air rises upwards and it condenses, and that condensation makes that wind into a strong wind. I have a video for you to show.
We've covered so far this year. The main areas will include heat transfer, differential heating, density, convection, and air pressure. So let's get started and break some wind. Now the first thing we're going to need is a source of energy. So we're going to go ahead and put the sun right up there in the sky. Now, one thing we've learned about the way the sun heats the earth is that it does not heat the earth evenly. The Earth's surface is made up of many different types of materials, and we have investigated how it heats four main Earth materials. That would be sand, soil, air, and we're also going to need a water source. So we're going to go ahead and put the sea across that hot sand, and as soon as you get to the water's temperature is much different than the beach temperatures. So that would mean, by conduction, the air over the land would be warmer than the air over the sea. So warm air is right over the land, cool air right over the sea. Now, instantaneously, you should see that we have two different temperatures of air. And from prior knowledge, we've learned about density. And
Okay, I have attached that link in your assessment, in your assignment folder. So if you want to watch this video, you have to open that link. Okay, at the end of the lesson, what we have studied today, we studied about the elements of weather, we studied about the wind, rainfall formation, types of rainfall, and the cyclones.